Chapter 4. Keep in mind, boys and girls, this is right after he drops Shiloh off. He drops the mail off at Judd Travers' house and tells him to his face that he named his dog Shiloh. Here we go. Chapter 4. Dad says to me when we're around the bend, "Sometimes you haven't got the sense to shut up. You can't go telling a man what to call his dog." But I'm mad too. Better than calling him Git or Scram. Judd Travers has the right to name his dog anything he likes or nothing at all. And you've got to get it through your head that it's his dog, not yours. And put your mind to other things. The Jeep bounces along for a good long mile before I can speak again. "I can't, Dad," I say finally. And this time his voice is gentle. "Well, son, you gotta try." I eat my peanut butter and soda cracker sandwiches with Dad at noon, plus the zucchini bread Mrs. Ellenson had left in her mailbox for him. And after all the Sears catalogs and mail is delivered, we head back to the Sisterville post office. I get my Coca-Cola at the gas station while Dad finishes up, and we start home. I forgot all about looking for cans and bottles. The can I'm holding is the only one I got. "Judd Travers goes hunting near every weekend, doesn't he?" I asked Dad. "Well, I suppose he does." "You can shoot at just about anything that moves?" Scroll. "Of course not. You can only shoot at what's in season." "Oh, well, I'm thinking about how a year ago I was fooling around up on the ridge and I came across a dead dog, a dead beagle with a hole in its head. I never said anything because what was there to say? Somebody was out hunting and got a dog by mistake. That's what I figured. It happens. But the more I think on it now, I wonder if it wasn't Judd Travers shooting a dog on purpose. Shooting one of his own dogs that didn't please him." Well, Dad's still talking. "We've got a new game warden in the county, and I hear he's plenty tough. Used to be a man could kill a deer on his own property any time if that deer was eating his garden. The warden would look the other way. But they tell me the new warden will fine you good. Well, that's the way it ought to be, I guess." Okay, I'm going to stop right there real quick and just tell you what Dad is saying. A game warden is sort of like a police officer that makes sure game is things that you can shoot. So like deer, rabbit, that's what game is. So there's a police for what you can kill and hunt. And he's saying that the new game warden is really, really tough, but the old game warden would let you shoot a deer that was eating in your garden no matter what time of year, and he would look the other way. That means he would pretend he didn't see it. But the new game warden is going to fine you. Fine you is like make you pay money if you break the rules. I hope that helps make sense. And Dad says that's the way it ought to be. If you shoot things when you shouldn't, you get fined. Okay, I'm going to keep going. "Well, what if a man shoots a dog?" I ask. Dad looks over at me. "Dogs aren't ever in season, Marty. Now you know that." "Yeah, but what if a man shoots one anyway?" "That would be up to the sheriff to decide what to do, I guess." The next day, I start early and set out on the main road to Friendly with a plastic bag. I get me 11 aluminum cans. But that's all. I could walk my legs off for a year and not even have enough to buy half a dog. The questions I tried not to think about before come back to me now. Would Judd Travers want to sell Shiloh at all? And how much would he want for him if he did? And even if I got Shiloh for my very own, how was I supposed to feed him? There aren't many leftover scraps of anything in our house. Every extra bite of pork chop or boiled potato or spoonful of peas gets made into soup. And if we'd had enough money for me to have a dog, and buy its food and pay for the vet and everything, I would have one by now. Darlin's been begging for a cat for over a year. It isn't that we're rock poor. The trouble is that Grandma Preston's got real feeble, and she's been cared for by Dad's sister over in Clarksburg. She has to have nurses anytime Aunt Hetty goes out, and every spare cent we got goes to pay for Grandma's care. Nothing is left over to feed a dog. But I figured to get to that problem later on. He's saying all their extra money is going to Grandma because she's sick and old. And he says, it's all right. I gotta get Shiloh first, and then I'll figure out how to feed him. That's what he's saying. Where'd it go? Sorry. I wonder if maybe in time, if I never see Shiloh again, I wonder if I'll forget about him. But then I'm lying on the couch that night after everyone else has gone to bed, and I hear this far-off sound again, like a dog crying. Not barking, not howling, not whining even. Crying. And I get this awful ache in my chest. And I wonder if it's a dog. I wonder if it's Shiloh. I know you want a dog, Marty, Ma says to me on Thursday. She's sitting at the kitchen table with cardboard boxes all around her, folding a stack of letters and putting them in envelopes. Ma gets work to do here at home anytime she can. I wish we had the money so every one of you kids could have a pet, but with Grandma seeming to need more care, we just don't, and that's that. I nod. Ma knows me better than I know myself sometimes, but she don't have this straight. I don't want just any dog. I want Shiloh, because he needs me. He needs me bad. It's Friday morning when I hear the sound. Dad's off on his mail route. Darlin and Becky's watching cartoons on TV. Ma's out on the hack porch washing clothes in the old washing machine that don't work. Only the wringer part works if you turn it on by hand. I'm sitting at the table eating a piece of bread spread with lard and jam when I hear the noise I know is Shiloh. Only the softest kind of noise, and right close. I fold the bread up, jelly to the inside, and stick it in my pocket and go out the front door. Shiloh's under the sycamore. It's a tree. Head on his paws, just like the day he followed me home in the rain. As soon as I see him, I know two things. Number one, Judd Travers has taken his dogs out hunting, like he said, and Shiloh's run away from the pack. And the second thing I know, I'm not going to take him back. Not now, not ever. I don't have time to think how I had promised Judd if I ever saw Shiloh loose again, I'd bring him back. I don't even have time to think about what I'm going to tell Dad. All I know right then is that I have to get Shiloh away from the house, where none of the family will see him. I run barefoot down the front steps and over to where Shiloh's lying, his tail just thumping like crazy in the grass. Shiloh, I whisper, and I gather him up in my arms. His body is shaking all over, but he don't try to get away. He don't creep away from me the way he did that first day. I hold him as close and careful as I carry Becky when she's asleep, and I start off up the hill, far into the woods, carrying my dog. I know that if I was to see Judd Travers that very minute with his ride, I'd tell him he'd have to shoot me before I'd ever let him near Shiloh again. There are burrs and stickers on the path up the hill, and usually I wouldn't take it without sneakers. But if there's burrs and stickers in my feet, I'd hardly feel them. I know Judd Travers and his hounds won't be over here, 'cause this hill belongs to my dad. It gets me as far as the shade bush next to the pine, and then I sit down and hug Shiloh. First time I really have him to myself. The first time I can hug him. Nobody looking, just squeeze him thin, pat on his head, and stroke his ears. Judd Travers.